The restaurant was too quiet for Nathan Pierce's racing heart. He sat at a corner table, fingers drumming against the white linen tablecloth, his eyes darting between the entrance and his watch. 7 o'clock. She would be here any minute. The woman his sister Claire had insisted he meet. Just one date, Nathan, Claire had pleaded 3 weeks ago, standing in his downtown office with that determined look she got when she wouldn't take no for an answer. You've been alone for 3 years. Ella needs to see her father happy again. Nathan had wanted to argue, to tell his sister that happiness wasn't something you could schedule between board meetings and parent-teacher conferences. But Claire had already made the reservation, already reached out to this mystery woman, already set everything in motion. And maybe deep down Nathan knew she was right. The grief had lasted long enough. The restaurant buzzed with soft conversations and clinking glasses, but Nathan felt separate from it all, trapped in his own thoughts. His hand moved unconsciously to his wrist, where a thin silver bracelet remained hidden beneath the cuff of his navy suit jacket. He'd worn it for 20 years, through college, through building his tech company from nothing to billions, through marriage, through fatherhood, through loss. The bracelet was his secret, his reminder of a promise made when he was too young to understand what promises really meant. You'll find me when we're grown up, right? You promised. The voice belonged to a 12-year-old girl with a bald head and eyes too old for her face. Tessa. The girl from room 304 at St. Mary's Children's Hospital. 20 years ago, Nathan had been a 14-year-old volunteer, and she had been fighting for her life. He closed his eyes, pushing away the memory. What were the chances? In a city of millions, what were the actual chances that... Nathan Pierce. His eyes snapped open. A woman stood beside his table, backlit by the restaurant's chandeliers. For a moment he couldn't process what he was seeing. His mind went completely blank, his breath caught somewhere between his lungs and throat. She was beautiful. That wasn't what stopped him. She wore a simple emerald green dress that brought out the warmth in her brown skin. Her hair fell in natural curls past her shoulders. But it was her eyes that froze him in place. He knew those eyes. Even 20 years later, even in a face that had transformed from girl to woman, he knew those eyes. Tessa. His voice came out barely above a whisper. Her smile faltered, surprise flickering across her features. She tilted her head slightly, studying him with an intensity that made his heart hammer against his ribs. Do we? She started, then stopped. Her hand moved to her throat, fingers touching a small silver pendant. Nathan? Nathan Turner? Pierce now, he managed, standing so quickly his chair scraped against the floor. I changed it. For business. But yes. Nathan Turner from St. Mary's Hospital. Have you ever made a promise you thought you'd never have to keep? What if that promise came back 20 years later to change your life forever? Subscribe and comment below if you believe in second chances and promises that survive time. Tessa's eyes widened, and her hand dropped from her necklace to her side. Oh my God. Claire didn't tell me. She said there was someone I needed to meet. My sister Claire? Nathan felt his legs weakening. You know my sister? We work together. Well, not together exactly. She's on the hospital board where I work. We've become friends over the past year. Tessa laughed, a sound that was half joy, half disbelief. She never mentioned. I never knew. They stood there, staring at each other across the small table, while other diners continued their meals and servers moved between tables. The entire world seemed to have narrowed to just this moment, this impossible collision of past and present. You're alive, Nathan said, the words inadequate but all he could manage. You survived. I survived. Tessa's eyes glistened with tears she was clearly trying to hold back. Thanks to good doctors, good luck, and a stubborn refusal to break a promise. A promise? She reached into her small purse and pulled out a folded piece of paper, yellowed with age and worn at the creases. Nathan recognized it immediately. The drawing he'd made for her during his last week of volunteering at the hospital. 2 stick figures standing under a tree with the words, "When we're grown up," written in his teenage handwriting. You kept that. I kept everything. Tessa's voice shook slightly. Every card you sent during that first year. Every email when you went to college. Every birthday message until they stopped coming. Nathan felt guilt crash over him like a wave. I'm sorry. After high school, life got complicated. College, starting the business, and then you got married, Tessa finished gently. I know. I saw the announcement in the business section about 5 years ago. Tech billionaire Nathan Pierce weds Jennifer Blackwell. You looked happy. I was, Nathan admitted, gesturing for her to sit. They both sank into their chairs, neither reaching for the menus the server had placed on the table. Jennifer was wonderful. We had a daughter, Ella. She's 10 now. He watched Tessa's face, looking for disappointment or anger, but found only compassion. And Jennifer? Tessa asked softly. Car accident. 3 years ago. Drunk driver ran a red light. Oh, Nathan. Tessa reached across the table, her hand covering his. I'm so sorry. Her touch was warm, alive, real. Nathan looked down at their hands, hers on top of his, and remembered another time she'd held his hand. In a sterile hospital room that smelled of antiseptic and flowers, when she'd pressed the silver bracelet into his palm and made him promise. I looked for you, Nathan said suddenly. After Jennifer died. When the grief started to ease a little, I tried to find you. But Tessa Williams is a common name and I didn't know where to start. I checked with St. Mary's but they couldn't give me information. Patient privacy. I moved to Portland for nursing school, Tessa explained. Came back to the city 5 years ago when I got a job at Children's Mercy Hospital. Same hospital, different name after the renovation. You became a nurse. Nathan smiled, really smiled for the first time in months. You always said you would. You said if you survived, you'd spend your life helping other kids survive too. Some promises are easier to keep than others. Tessa's thumb traced a small circle on the back of his hand. I never forgot you, Nathan. Every birthday I wondered if you'd remember. If you'd somehow find me. Nathan pulled back his suit jacket sleeve, revealing the silver bracelet. The small engraved heart charm caught the light. Tessa gasped, her free hand flying to her mouth. You kept it? All these years? Every single day, Nathan confirmed. It's been with me through everything. Board meetings, product launches, wedding day, Ella's birth, Jennifer's funeral. I never took it off. Why? The question was barely a whisper. Nathan met her eyes, those familiar eyes that had haunted his memories for 2 decades. Because I made you a promise. Because even when life took me in different directions, part of me always remembered the girl in room 304 who made me believe in fighting for what matters. Tessa pulled her hand back, wiping at her eyes with a small laugh. We haven't even ordered drinks yet and I'm already crying. This is some blind date. The best kind, Nathan said, feeling lighter than he had in years. The kind where you already know the person's favorite color. Purple, Tessa said immediately. And favorite book. You loved The Count of Monte Cristo. I loved Little Women. Favorite food. You'd eat pizza every day if you could. I was all about chocolate ice cream, which was torture on chemo days when I couldn't eat it. They laughed together, and other diners glanced over, probably wondering what could make 2 people look so happy before they'd even seen a menu. A server approached cautiously. Can I get you started with something to drink? Nathan looked at Tessa. Still a root beer fan? Always. Tessa grinned. And you still drink ginger ale? Some things don't change. They ordered, and as the server walked away, Nathan felt the weight of 3 years of grief begin to lift. Not disappear, grief didn't work that way, but shift into something manageable. Something that could coexist with hope. Tell me everything, Tessa said, leaning forward. Tell me about Ella. About your company. About the life you built. Only if you tell me everything too, Nathan countered. About nursing school, about Portland, about what made you come back to the city. Deal. They talked through dinner, through dessert, through 3 rounds of coffee. The restaurant began to empty around them, but neither noticed. Nathan told her about building Pierce Technologies, about the early days when he worked 20-hour days and survived on coffee and determination. He told her about meeting Jennifer at a tech conference, about their quick courtship and quiet wedding. He showed her pictures of Ella, a 4th grader with Jennifer's blonde hair and his blue eyes, who loved soccer and science fiction and asked too many questions. Tessa shared her own journey. The brutal year of treatment after Nathan stopped volunteering. The remission that felt like a miracle. The financial strain on her parents that made college seem impossible until scholarships came through. The move to Portland for nursing school, where she lived with her aunt and worked night shifts at a diner to make ends meet. The joy of returning to pediatric oncology as a professional, helping families navigate the same nightmare her own family had survived. Do you ever think about them? Nathan asked as their 3rd coffee grew cold. The kids who didn't make it? Tessa nodded, her expression growing serious. Every day. There's a boy right now, Timothy, 7 years old. Same type of leukemia I had. The treatments have come so far since our time, but it's still hard. His parents are exhausted, scared. I try to give them hope, but some days you wonder if hope is enough, Nathan finished. Exactly. Nathan made a decision. What if it could be? What if hope came with resources? My company has a charitable foundation. We've funded education initiatives, but we've never focused on medical causes. What would Timothy's family need? What would have helped your family? Tessa stared at him. Nathan, you can't just. Why not? He pulled out his phone, opening a note app. Tell me. Everything they need. Everything your family needed and didn't have. The medical bills, Tessa said slowly. Even with insurance, the costs are crushing. My parents refinanced their house twice. My mom still works 2 jobs to pay off debt from 20 years ago. And that's just the money side. Timothy's family needs a place to stay near the hospital. His mom had to quit her job to be with him. His dad is trying to work remotely, but it's falling apart. They need meal support, gas money, parking vouchers, therapy for their other kids who don't understand why their brother is sick. Nathan typed rapidly. What else? Teenage siblings need support groups. Parents need mental health resources. Families need advocates who understand the medical system and can fight with insurance companies. They need hope, Nathan, but they also need someone to tell them they won't lose everything while saving their child. Consider it done. Nathan looked up from his phone. I'll have my foundation director contact you tomorrow. We'll start with Timothy's family, then build a program for other families. You'll consult, tell us what actually helps versus what sounds good on paper. Just like that. Tessa looked stunned. Just like that. You said yes, right? You'll help. Of course, but Nathan, this is a huge commitment. Don't you need to think about it, talk to your board, plan budgets? I've been thinking about it for 20 years, Nathan said firmly. Since the day I watched you fight for your life and realized that access to resources shouldn't determine who survives and who doesn't. My company made me wealthy beyond anything I imagined. It's time to use that wealth for something that matters. Tessa's eyes filled with tears again. Thank you. On behalf of every family who won't have to choose between treatment and keeping their home, thank you. Nathan reached across the table, taking both her hands in his. Thank you for surviving. For keeping that promise. For becoming exactly the person you said you'd be. The server approached apologetically. I'm so sorry, but we're closing soon. Nathan glanced at his watch and was shocked to see it was nearly midnight. 5 hours. We've been talking for 5 hours. Best first date ever, Tessa said with a smile. They walked out together into the cool spring night. The city was quieter now, late-night traffic sparse compared to rush-hour chaos. Nathan's driver waited by the black car at the curb, but Nathan waved him off. Can I walk you to your car? He asked Tessa. I took the subway. Parking downtown is impossible. Then let me drive you home. Please. I'm not ready for this night to end. Tessa hesitated for just a moment, then nodded. Okay. In the car, they sat close together in the back seat, continuing their conversation in softer tones. Nathan gave the driver Tessa's address, a modest neighborhood about 20 minutes from the restaurant. Tell me about Ella, Tessa said. What's she really like? Not just the proud dad version. Nathan laughed. She's stubborn like her mom. Smart, too smart sometimes. She asked me last week why I never date, told me it was statistically probable that there was another compatible partner out there for me. 10 years old and using phrases like statistically probable? She reads above her grade level and watches too many documentaries. But she's also kind. She volunteers at an animal shelter every Saturday, reading to the cats because she says they get lonely. She sounds wonderful. She is. Nathan paused. She's also scared. Not that she'd admit it, but I can tell. Scared that I'm sad, scared that she can't fix it, scared that she's not enough to make me happy. Kids shouldn't have to carry that, Tessa said softly. No, they shouldn't. Which is why Claire was right. It's time to try again. Time to show Ella that life keeps going, that happiness can come back. The car pulled up in front of a small apartment building. Lights glowed in windows where people lived their ordinary lives, unaware that outside 2 people were rewriting their history. This is me, Tessa said, making no move to leave. Tessa. Nathan turned to face her fully. Can I see you again? Not as a setup from my sister, but as 2 people who want to get to know each other again. I'd like that. Tessa reached for the door handle, then stopped. Nathan, I need to say something. Tonight was amazing, like something out of a dream. But I need you to know I'm not that 12-year-old girl anymore. And you're not that 14-year-old volunteer. We're different people. I know. And you have a daughter who comes first. Always. I would never want to be someone who complicates her life or makes things harder. You won't be, Nathan said with certainty he couldn't quite explain. But I appreciate you saying it. How about this, we take it slow? Coffee dates, phone calls, getting to know the adults we became. When and if it feels right, I'll introduce you to Ella. No pressure, no expectations beyond seeing where this goes. Tessa smiled, reaching out to touch the silver bracelet on his wrist. You really kept it all these years. Some promises are too important to forget. She leaned forward and kissed his cheek, soft and brief. Good night, Nathan Pierce. Call me tomorrow? I'll call you in the morning. Tessa slipped out of the car, and Nathan watched until she safely entered her building. As his driver pulled away, Nathan touched his cheek where her lips had been and smiled at his reflection in the window. His phone buzzed. A text from Claire. Well? How did it go? Nathan typed back. You knew. You knew who she was the whole time. 3 dots appeared, then Claire's response. Guilty. Are you mad? I should be. But you're not. Nathan looked at the silver bracelet, then typed his answer. No. I'm grateful. Thank you for keeping a promise I didn't even know you were keeping. That's what sisters are for. Now go to sleep and dream about your second chance. Nathan leaned back in his seat, watching the city lights blur past. 20 years ago, he'd made a promise to a sick girl in a hospital. Tonight, he'd found her again, alive and strong and everything he'd hoped she'd become. And maybe, just maybe, they were both about to discover that some promises were worth waiting a lifetime to keep. 20 years earlier, Nathan Turner was not the confident billionaire who commanded boardrooms and made million-dollar decisions before lunch. He was a gangly 14-year-old with 2 long limbs, braces, and a desperate need for volunteer hours to satisfy his private school's community service requirement. St. Mary's Children's Hospital smelled like industrial cleaners trying to mask something darker underneath. Nathan's mom dropped him off that first Saturday morning in September with encouraging words about making a difference and being grateful for his own health. Nathan just wanted to get his 20 required hours done so he could go back to playing video games and avoiding gym class. The volunteer coordinator, Mrs. Patterson, was a round woman with kind eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. She handed Nathan a blue volunteer vest and a list of rules. You'll be on the 4th floor. Pediatric oncology. These kids are fighting the biggest battle of their lives, and your job is to bring a little normalcy to their days. Read to them, play games, help with art projects. Listen when they want to talk. Stay quiet when they don't. Think you can handle that? Nathan nodded, though his stomach twisted with nervousness. Cancer. Kids with cancer. What was he supposed to say to someone his own age who was dying? The 4th floor was different from what he expected. Yes, there were medical machines and 4 poles and nurses in scrubs moving efficiently from room to room. But there were also colorful murals on the walls, a playroom filled with toys, and a window that looked out over the city. Someone had tried to make it less scary, even if they couldn't make it not a hospital. You must be Nathan. A nurse with a warm smile approached him. I'm Sharon. Been volunteering here 12 years, so if you have questions, ask. First rule, don't look at them like they're dying. They get enough of that from adults. You're here to be normal, got it? Got it. Good. Room 304 is a good place to start. Tessa Williams, 12 years old, acute lymphoblastic leukemia. She's smart as a whip and will probably run circles around you mentally. She doesn't get many visitors her own age. Her parents work double shifts to pay bills, so she's alone a lot. Think you can keep her company? Nathan followed Sharon down the hallway, his sneakers squeaking on the polished floor. Room 304 had a window view and was decorated with get well cards and a poster of the solar system. In the bed, hooked up to N4, sat a girl with no hair and eyes that seemed too big for her thin face. Tessa, this is Nathan. He's going to be volunteering on Saturdays. Nathan, this is Tessa. Play nice, you two. Sharon left them alone, and Nathan stood awkwardly by the door, unsure what to do with his hands. You can come in, Tessa said, her voice scratchy. I don't bite. Well, I might if you're annoying, but I'll warn you first. Nathan managed a laugh and moved to the chair beside her bed. Hi. Hi yourself. So, community service requirement. How did you know? Because that's why most teenage volunteers come here. It's okay. At least you showed up. Some kids sign up and then bail because sick kids are depressing. She said it matter-of-factly without self-pity. That's stupid, Nathan said. You're not depressing. You don't know me yet. Give it time. But she smiled when she said it. They sat in silence for a moment. Nathan noticed a stack of books on her bedside table. You like to read? Love it. Only thing to do around here besides watch daytime TV, and that stuff will rot your brain faster than chemo. Nathan laughed again, surprised. What are you reading now? Just finished The Giver. Have you read it? Yeah, for English class last year. The ending messed me up. Right? Tessa's face lit up. Like, did they make it or did they freeze to death? The ambiguity kills me. They talked about books for the next hour. Nathan discovered Tessa had read everything, devoured stories like they were oxygen. She loved science fiction and fantasy, anything that took her away from her current reality. Nathan found himself relaxing, forgetting this was a hospital, forgetting Tessa was sick. She was just a girl who loved books and had opinions about everything. When I get out of here, Tessa said as their time wound down, I'm going to read a book outside. Like, actually sit under a tree and read. I'm going to feel grass and wind and I'm going to read something happy. Maybe a romance where nobody dies. You will, Nathan said, surprised by the conviction in his own voice. You'll totally do that. You sound pretty sure for someone who just met me. I'm sure. You're a fighter. I can tell. Tessa studied him for a long moment. Come back next week? I'll be here. And he was. Every Saturday for 6 months, Nathan showed up at St. Mary's and spent hours in room 304. He brought books from his own collection, ones he thought Tessa would like. She introduced him to authors he'd never heard of. They debated character motivations and plot holes and argued about which movie adaptations were acceptable. But they talked about more than books. Tessa told him about her life before cancer. The small house she lived in with her parents. Her golden retriever named Sunny. Her dream of becoming a doctor or a nurse, someone who could help people. Her fear that she'd never get the chance. My parents are broke, she admitted one gray December afternoon. They try to hide it, but I hear them talking at night when they think I'm asleep. The medical bills are crushing them. Dad took a third job. Mom stopped buying anything for herself. And I'm just lying here costing them everything. It's not your fault, Nathan said fiercely. You didn't choose to get sick. I know. But knowing something logically and feeling it emotionally are different things. She picked at her blanket. Sometimes I wonder if it would be easier for everyone if I just don't. Nathan grabbed her hand without thinking. Don't say that. Don't even think it. The world needs you in it, Tessa. Your parents need you. And honestly, I need you. You're the only person who agrees with me that the book is always better than the movie. That made her laugh, watery but real. As winter turned to spring, Nathan watched Tessa go through the cycles of treatment. Good days when she was alert and chatty. Bad days when she could barely keep her eyes open. Days when she threw up from the chemo and apologized like it was her fault. Days when her parents sat by her bed, holding her hand and trying not to cry where she could see. Nathan's required volunteer hours were completed in January, but he kept coming. His mom asked why he spent every Saturday at the hospital instead of hanging out with friends. Nathan couldn't explain it. Tessa had become important to him in a way he didn't fully understand. She was his friend, but more than that. She was proof that courage existed in small, quiet moments. That humor could survive in the darkest circumstances. That hope was a choice you made every morning when you opened your eyes. In April, with spring finally breaking through the winter cold, Nathan arrived at the hospital to find Tessa looking different. Stronger somehow. The hollows under her eyes less pronounced. I'm in remission, she said as soon as he walked in. The scans came back yesterday. It's not gone, but it's retreating. Dr. Kumar says if it stays this way for 6 months, my chances go way up. Nathan whooped so loud a nurse poked her head in to check on them. He hugged Tessa carefully, aware of how fragile she still was, and felt her shaking with laughter or tears or both. You did it, he said. You're beating it. We'll see. But yeah, I'm fighting back hard. They celebrated with chocolate pudding cups from the cafeteria and watching a movie on Tessa's laptop. As the afternoon sun slanted through the window, painting everything gold, Tessa turned to Nathan with a serious expression. I want to give you something. She reached into her bedside drawer and pulled out a silver bracelet. It was simple with a single heart charm. I bought this with birthday money last year before I got sick. I want you to have it. Tessa, I can't take. Please. You've given me so much. You kept showing up when you didn't have to. You made this place bearable. You reminded me there's a world outside these walls worth fighting for. She pressed the bracelet into his palm. Promise me something. Anything. Promise me that when we're grown up, you'll find me. I don't know where I'll be or what I'll be doing, but promise you'll look for me. That this isn't just hospital friendship that ends when I get discharged. Nathan looked at the bracelet, then at Tessa's earnest face. I promise. When we're grown up, I'll find you. No matter what. Say it like you mean it. I promise on my life, Tessa Williams. When we're grown up, I will find you again. She smiled, that brilliant smile he'd seen glimpses of through the hard months. Okay, good. Now help me beat this level in my game. The boss is impossible. 2 weeks later, Nathan arrived for his usual Saturday visit to find room 304 empty. His heart stopped until a nurse explained Tessa had been discharged the day before. She was going home, continuing treatment as an outpatient. She was winning her battle. Nathan stood in the empty room, looking at the space where Tessa had fought and laughed and dreamed. He touched the silver bracelet on his wrist and made a silent vow to keep his promise, no matter how long it took. Present day, the morning after the blind date, Nathan woke before sunrise. He lay in bed, staring at his ceiling, half convinced he'd dreamed the entire evening. But the silver bracelet was still on his wrist, and his phone showed a saved contact. Tessa Williams, followed by a heart emoji he'd added at 1 a.m. in a moment of boldness. His bedroom was still dark, the city outside just beginning to stir. In rooms down the hall, his daughter Ella slept peacefully, and their live-in nanny Mrs. Chen had her own suite. Nathan's penthouse apartment took up the entire top floor of the building, with floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked downtown. It was beautiful, expensive, and often felt too empty. He picked up his phone and typed a message, "Good morning. Please tell me last night really happened." The response came faster than he expected. "It happened. I'm looking at an old drawing of two stick figures under a tree. Still can't quite believe it." Nathan smiled and typed, "Coffee today? I know a place." "Is it the hospital cafeteria? Because that was our place." "It absolutely is not the hospital cafeteria. I'm taking you somewhere with actual good coffee." "Fancy Billionaire coffee?" "The fanciest." "Say yes." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, "Yes. But I work a shift at 3 p.m., so morning? 10 a.m. I'll pick you up." Nathan got out of bed and went through his morning routine with more energy than he'd felt in months. He chose his clothes carefully, a bright red button-down shirt and dark jeans, something casual but put together. The man in the mirror looked younger somehow, like hope had smoothed away some of the grief lines. "Daddy?" Ella's voice came from his doorway. She stood there in her pajamas, blonde hair messy from sleep, clutching her favorite stuffed rabbit. "You're up early. And you're smiling. Come here, kiddo." Nathan opened his arms and Ella crossed the room to hug him. At 10 she was getting too old for this, but she still fit perfectly against his shoulder. "How did you sleep?" "Good. I dreamed about soccer. We won the championship." She pulled back to look at him. "Why are you so happy? Did something good happen?" Nathan considered how much to tell her. They'd always been honest with each other, but this was new territory. "I went on a date last night. Aunt Claire set it up." Ella's eyes went wide. "A date? Like a romantic date?" "Yes, a romantic date. With a very nice woman named Tessa." "Do you like her?" "I do. Actually, I knew her a long time ago when I was just a teenager. We were friends and then we lost touch. Last night was the first time I'd seen her in 20 years. Ella processed this information with the seriousness she applied to everything. "Are you going to see her again?" "I'd like to. If that's okay with you." "Does she make you smile like this?" "She does." Ella nodded slowly. "Then it's okay. You should be happy, Daddy. Mom would want you to be happy." Nathan pulled her close again, overwhelmed by his daughter's wisdom and generosity. "Thank you, Ella. You know you're the most important person in my world, right? Nothing changes that." "I know." She hesitated. "Can I meet her sometime? If you keep seeing her?" "When the time is right, absolutely. But let's not rush anything, okay? We're just getting to know each other again." "Okay." Ella grinned suddenly. "Is she pretty?" "She's beautiful. But more importantly, she's kind and smart and funny. She's a nurse at a children's hospital." "That's a good job. Better than what you do." Nathan laughed. "Hey now. I'm just saying helping sick kids is more important than making apps." "You're not wrong. Now go get ready for breakfast. Mrs. Chin is making pancakes." Ella scampered off and Nathan finished getting ready. By the time he came downstairs, Ella was already at the kitchen table, drowning her pancakes in syrup while Mrs. Chen clucked disapprovingly. "Too much sugar, Miss Ella. You want cavities?" "No, Mrs. Chen, but I want happiness, and happiness tastes like maple syrup." Nathan caught Mrs. Chen's eye and smiled. She'd been with them since Jennifer died, a steadying presence who kept the household running and loved Ella like her own granddaughter. "I'm going out this morning," Nathan said, accepting a plate of pancakes. "I should be back by early afternoon." "A date?" Mrs. Chen asked, her eyes twinkling. "Does everyone know my business?" "Miss Claire called me last night. Very excited." Nathan shook his head, but he was smiling. "Yes, a date. With someone special." You need someone special. You've been sad too long. After breakfast, Nathan kissed Ella goodbye and headed to his car. The morning was beautiful, late spring turning toward summer, the kind of day that made the city feel full of possibility. He picked up Tessa at her apartment building, and his breath caught again when she walked out. She wore a bright blue sundress and sandals, her curls loose around her shoulders. She looked like sunshine. "You look amazing," he said as she slid into the passenger seat. "You don't look so bad yourself. Red is definitely your color." They drove to a coffee shop Nathan loved, a small place tucked between downtown buildings where the owner knew him by name and didn't treat him like a celebrity. They ordered lattes and chocolate croissants and took a table by the window. "Tell me about yesterday," Nathan said after their first sips of coffee. "After I dropped you off. What did you do?" "I called my parents and cried for 20 minutes, Tessa admitted. "My mom thought something terrible had happened. When I finally explained, she started crying too. My dad got on the phone and said, and I quote, 'That boy who visited you in the hospital? The one who made you smile again? He's back. He remembers you. I remember them too. Your mom brought those amazing oatmeal cookies every Sunday. Your dad told terrible jokes to make you laugh. He still tells terrible jokes. Some things never change.'" Tessa traced the rim of her coffee cup. "They want to meet you. Which I know is fast, but they've wondered about you for 20 years. You were this mythical figure who helped me fight and then you disappeared. I want to meet them too. I want to apologize for the debt they carried and I want to help." "Nathan." Tessa's voice was gentle but firm. "You can't fix everything with money. I'm not trying to fix everything. But I can help with the medical debt. You said your mom still works 2 jobs because of bills from 20 years ago. Let me help with that. Please." Tessa was quiet for a long moment. "Can we table that conversation for now? I need to think about it. My parents are proud people. They might not accept charity." "It's not charity. It's gratitude. You saved my life, Tessa." "I saved your life? You weren't the one who was sick." "No, but I was lost. 14 years old, no real direction, going through the motions. You gave me purpose. You showed me what real courage looked like. Every success I've had, every business decision, every moment of determination, they all trace back to you. To those Saturdays in room 304 when you fought with everything you had and never gave up. You think I'd be where I am without that lesson? You gave me more than I ever gave you." Tessa wiped at her eyes. "You're going to make me cry in this coffee shop and people will think you're breaking up with me instead of..." "Instead of what?" "Instead of whatever this is." She smiled through tears. "What is this, Nathan? Is it just nostalgia? 2 people remembering who they used to be?" Nathan reached across the table, taking her hand. "I don't know yet. I know I haven't felt this alive in 3 years. I know I went to bed last night thinking about you and woke up this morning wanting to see you again. I know that sitting here with you feels right in a way I can't quite explain." "I feel it too," Tessa admitted. "But I'm scared. We're not those kids anymore. You have a whole life, a daughter, a company. I'm a nurse who works long shifts and goes home to an apartment with a cat." "You have a cat?" "Her name is Luna. She's gray and judgmental and perfect. I'd like to meet Luna. And I'd like to keep seeing you if you're willing to take a chance on this. On us." Tessa squeezed his hand. "Okay. Yes. Let's take a chance." They spent the rest of the morning talking, making up for 20 years in a few hours. Tessa told him about Portland, about the aunt who took her in during nursing school, about the friends she'd made and the life she'd built. Nathan told her about the early days of Pierce Technologies, the near bankruptcy in year 3, the breakthrough product that changed everything. He showed her pictures of Ella at various ages, and Tessa cooed over each one. "She looks like her mom," Tessa observed, studying a photo of Ella at her 9th birthday party. "She does. But she has my stubbornness. God help you." At noon they left the coffee shop and walked through a nearby park. Children played on swings, dogs chased tennis balls, couples walked hand in hand. Nathan and Tessa fell into step together naturally, their shoulders occasionally brushing. "Tell me about your work," Nathan said. "Tell me about Timothy, the boy you mentioned last night." Tessa's expression grew serious. "He's 7. Diagnosed 6 months ago. The prognosis is good but the journey is hard. His parents are amazing but they're drowning. Medical bills, missed work, their other 2 kids acting out because they don't understand why Timothy gets all the attention. It's the same story I lived, just with different names. What if we could change that story?" Nathan stopped walking, turning to face her. "What if my foundation could create a program specifically for families like Timothy's? Cover expenses, provide housing near the hospital, offer therapy and support groups. What would that look like? It would look like a dream, Tessa said softly. But Nathan, programs like that cost millions. You'd be committing to something huge. Good. I want to commit to something huge. I want to build something that matters. And I can't think of anyone better to help me build it than you. Me? I'm just a nurse. You're not just anything. You're someone who survived and dedicated your life to helping others survive. You understand what families need because you lived it. Please, Tessa. Say you'll help me with this. Tessa looked at him, really looked at him, seeing past the expensive clothes and billionaire status to the earnest 14-year-old who used to read to her on Saturday afternoons. Okay, she said finally. Yes, I'll help you. But I have conditions. Name them. First, I don't want just my input. I want families' input. Real people who are going through it right now. Second, we do this right. No publicity stunts, no press releases about what a great guy you are. We do it because it's the right thing to do. Third, you let me work. I'm not quitting my job to be some consultant. I stay in the hospital, stay with my patients, and we build this program around real needs. Deal. All of it. What else? That's it for now. But I reserve the right to add more conditions as I think of them. Nathan laughed and took her hand again. They continued walking, talking through ideas for the program. Tessa knew the details, the little things that made a huge difference. Nathan knew how to structure organizations, how to make visions into reality. Together they started building something neither could have built alone. When it was time for Tessa to head to work, Nathan drove her to Children's Mercy Hospital. As they pulled up to the entrance, Tessa turned to him. Thank you for today. For everything. Thank you for saying yes. To coffee, to seeing me again, to helping with the foundation. All of it. Nathan. Tessa hesitated, then continued. I need you to know something. When I was sick, when I thought I might die, I used to imagine my future. The life I'd live if I survived. And in every version of that future, in every dream, there was a boy who visited me on Saturdays and made me believe I could beat cancer. I don't want to put pressure on us, but I need you to know that finding you again feels like the universe finally making good on a promise. Nathan's throat tightened with emotion. I imagined finding you too. Every year on your birthday, every time I looked at that bracelet, I wondered where you were and if you thought about me. And now you're here, real and alive and everything I hoped you'd be. Tessa leaned over and kissed him, soft and sweet and full of possibility. When she pulled back, she was smiling. Call me tonight? Absolutely. He watched her walk into the hospital, her blue dress bright against the gray building. As he drove away, Nathan felt like his life had suddenly shifted into color after years of grayscale. Tessa was back. The girl from room 304 was alive and well and about to become a permanent part of his world. And this time he wasn't going to let her go. 2 weeks passed in a blur of phone calls, coffee dates, and late-night conversations that stretched past midnight. Nathan found himself thinking about Tessa constantly, checking his phone between meetings, smiling at inside jokes only they understood. His assistant noticed, his business partner Warren noticed, and most importantly, Ella noticed. You're on the phone a lot, Ella observed one evening as they ate dinner together. Mrs. Chin had made spaghetti, Ella's favorite, and his daughter was twirling pasta around her fork while studying him with those perceptive blue eyes. I am, Nathan admitted. I'm talking to Tessa. We're working on a project together and we're also getting to know each other better. Are you going to marry her? Ella asked it so casually, like she was asking about the weather. Nathan nearly choked on his water. Ella. We've been dating for 2 weeks. I know, but you smile different now. Like when you look at pictures of Mom. Nathan set down his glass carefully. Tessa is important to me. But marriage is a big step and we're nowhere near that yet. We're taking things slow. Okay. Ella returned to her pasta, then looked up again. Can I meet her? You said I could when the time was right. Is it right yet? Nathan considered this. He'd been thinking about introducing them but worried it was too soon. Yet Ella was asking, which meant she was ready. How about this weekend? Nathan suggested. We could go to the art museum. You've been wanting to go and Tessa loves art. Really? She likes art. She loves painting. She used to paint in the hospital to pass the time. Then yes, this weekend. Can we get ice cream after? Absolutely. That night, Nathan called Tessa and told her about the plan. There was a pause on the other end of the line. You want me to meet Ella? Tessa's voice carried a mix of excitement and nervousness. Nathan, that's huge. I know. But she asked to meet you. And honestly, you're becoming such an important part of my life. It feels wrong to keep you two separate. What if she doesn't like me? Impossible. But even if it takes time, we'll figure it out. No pressure. We go to the museum, look at art, eat ice cream, and let you two get to know each other naturally. Okay. Yes. I'm terrified, but yes. Saturday arrived bright and clear. Nathan picked up Tessa from her apartment, appreciating how she dressed in a cheerful green top and jeans, nothing too formal or trying too hard. You look perfect, he said as she got in the car. I changed 5 times. My cat is judging me somewhere behind the couch. Nathan laughed and took her hand. Ella's going to love you. At his building, they rode the elevator to the penthouse. Nathan could feel Tessa's nervousness, but she hid it well. When the doors opened directly into his apartment, her eyes widened. This is where you live? Nathan, I knew you were successful, but this is too much, he finished. I was going to say impressive. The view is incredible. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the city spread out below them, the river snaking through downtown, parks like green patches on a concrete quilt. Daddy? Ella appeared from her room, and Nathan saw her take in Tessa with curious eyes. Is this her? Ella, this is Tessa. Tessa, my daughter Ella. Tessa knelt down to Ella's level, something Nathan noticed and appreciated. Hi Ella. Your dad has told me so much about you. He says you're an amazing soccer player and you love reading. Ella studied her seriously. He told me you're a nurse. Do you make people feel better? I try to. I work with kids who are sick and I do my best to help them feel better. That's good. Helping people is important. Ella paused. Do you really like art or are you just pretending because we're going to a museum? Nathan opened his mouth to tell Ella not to be rude, but Tessa laughed. I really like art. I used to paint when I was younger. I wasn't very good, but I loved it. Do you paint? Sometimes. I'm okay at it. I like doing landscapes. Me too. Landscapes are my favorite. Ella's expression softened slightly. Okay. We can go now. At the museum, Nathan watched as Tessa and Ella slowly warmed to each other. Tessa didn't try too hard, didn't force conversation or pretend to be Ella's best friend. She treated Ella with respect, asked genuine questions and listened to the answers. In the Impressionist gallery, Ella stopped in front of a Monet painting. This one's my favorite. I like how the colors blur together. I love Monet too, Tessa said, standing beside her. When I was in the hospital, I had a poster of water lilies in my room. I used to stare at it and imagine I was there by the pond instead of in a hospital bed. Ella looked up at her. You were in the hospital? As a kid. Tessa nodded. I was really sick, but I got better. And that's why I became a nurse, so I could help other kids get better too. Did my dad visit you? When you were sick? He did. Every Saturday for months. He read to me and brought me books and made me laugh. Your dad was a really good friend when I needed one. Ella processed this, then slipped her hand into Tessa's. I'm glad you got better. Nathan felt his eyes water and turned away to study a painting he'd seen a dozen times, giving them their moment. They spent 2 hours at the museum, then went for ice cream as promised. Nathan got mint chocolate chip, Tessa got strawberry, and Ella got something called Rainbow Explosion, that was every color possible. This is the best ice cream, Ella declared, her face already stained with multiple colors. It's definitely the most colorful, Tessa agreed, laughing as Ella got ice cream on her nose. When they dropped Tessa off at her apartment that evening, Ella gave her an unexpected hug. Can you come over again? Ella asked. We could paint together. Dad's terrible at it, but you're probably good. I'd love that, Tessa said, hugging her back. Thank you for letting me spend the day with you guys. In the car on the way home, Ella was quiet for a while. Then she said, I like her, Daddy. She's nice. And she makes you smile. She makes me very happy. Good. You deserve to be happy. Nathan reached over and ruffled her hair. So do you, kiddo? Are you happy? Yeah, I think I am. It was nice today. Like having a family again. That night, after Ella was in bed, Nathan called Tessa. Thank you for today, he said. You were wonderful with her. She's an amazing kid, Nathan. So smart and thoughtful. You're doing a great job. I'm trying. It's hard being both mom and dad. You're not alone anymore, Tessa said softly. I mean, if you want, I'm here. For both of you. Nathan felt his chest tighten with emotion. I want that. Very much. They talked for another hour, making plans for the foundation project. Tessa had met with Timothy's parents and compiled a list of needs. Nathan had his foundation director drafting proposals. They were building something real, something that would help families like Tessa's had been. Can I ask you something? Tessa said as their conversation wound down. Anything. Are you scared? Of us? of this moving fast. Nathan was quiet for a moment, considering. Sometimes, I'm scared of messing this up, of hurting you or Ella or myself. But I'm more scared of not trying. You came back into my life, Tessa. After 20 years you're here. That feels like fate or destiny or whatever you want to call it. And I don't want to waste it. Me neither. I'm scared too. But I'm also excited. Is that okay? To be both. It's perfect. We'll be scared and excited together. Over the next few weeks, Tessa became a regular presence in their lives. She came over for dinner twice a week. She and Ella painted together, creating colorful landscapes that Mrs. Chin hung proudly on the refrigerator. She attended one of Ella's soccer games and cheered louder than anyone else in the stands. One evening, as Nathan and Tessa sat on his balcony while Ella did homework inside, Warren dropped by unexpectedly. Nathan's business partner and best friend took one look at them together and grinned. "So this is the famous Tessa," Warren said, shaking her hand. "Nathan talks about you constantly." "He does." Tessa looked at Nathan, who shrugged sheepishly. "Warren, what are you doing here?" "Board meeting notes." "But I see you're busy." Warren's expression turned serious. "Actually, I wanted to talk to you both about something. This foundation project you're building, it's getting attention. Good attention. The staff are excited about it, the board wants to know more. This could be big, Nathan." "It should be big," Nathan said. "Kids are dying because their families can't afford treatment. That's unacceptable." "Agreed. Which is why I want to personally donate $1 million to get it started." Warren looked at Tessa. "Your story, what you survived, it's powerful. Would you be willing to be the face of this? Not in an exploitative way, but to help other families know they're not alone." Tessa looked overwhelmed. "I don't know. That's a lot of attention." "Think about it," Warren said. "No pressure. But we could help a lot of people if we do this right." After Warren left, Tessa was quiet. Nathan took her hand. "You don't have to do anything you're not comfortable with," he assured her. "I know. But he's right. My story could help people. And isn't that the whole point? To help. Only if you want to. Your privacy matters too." Tessa looked out at the city lights, thinking. "I'll do it. But only if we do it right. Real stories, real families, no sugarcoating how hard it is." "Deal." Later that night, after Tessa had gone home and Ella was asleep, Nathan stood in his daughter's doorway, watching her breathe softly. 3 years ago, he'd thought his chance at happiness was gone. He'd loved Jennifer with everything he had, and losing her had broken something fundamental inside him. But Tessa was teaching him that the heart could heal. Not forget, never forget, but heal enough to love again. To build something new while honoring what came before. His phone buzzed with a text from Tessa. "Thank you for today. For Ella. For everything. Sweet dreams." Nathan smiled and replied, "Thank you for taking a chance on us. Sweet dreams, Tessa." As he got ready for bed, Nathan looked at the silver bracelet on his wrist and thought about 14-year-old Nathan making a promise to a sick girl. That boy could never have imagined this. That the promise would come true. That the girl would survive and become this incredible woman. That they'd find their way back to each other across 20 years and build something beautiful. Some promises were worth keeping forever. And some people were worth waiting a lifetime to find. 3 months into their relationship, Nathan took Tessa to meet her parents. She'd been putting it off, nervous about mixing her two worlds, but her mom had finally put her foot down. "Bring him for Sunday dinner," Rita Williams had demanded over the phone. "We want to meet the man who has our daughter smiling like a teenager again." So on a warm Sunday afternoon in late summer, Nathan drove them to the modest neighborhood where Tessa had grown up. The houses were small but well-maintained, with gardens and front porches where neighbors waved to each other. "That's it," Tessa pointed to a yellow house with white trim. "The one with the rose bushes." Nathan parked on the street and turned off the engine. "You ready for this? Are you? My parents can be intense." "I'm ready. Though I should warn you, I'm planning to offer to pay off their medical debt." "I know you said to wait, but Tessa, it's been 3 months. I want to help your family." Tessa was quiet for a moment. "Okay. But if they say no, you respect that." "I will. I promise." They walked up the path to the front door, which opened before they could knock. Rita Williams stood there, a woman in her 50s with the same warm brown skin and kind eyes as her daughter. She pulled Tessa into a hug, then turned to Nathan. "So you're the boy from the hospital. All grown up?" "Yes, ma'am." "It's wonderful to see you again, Mrs. Williams. Call me Rita. And get in here, both of you." Thomas is in the kitchen pretending he knows how to make gravy. The house smelled like roast chicken and fresh bread. It was cozy, filled with pictures and memories. Nathan noticed photos of Tessa throughout her life, including several from her hospital days. One photo showed a bald Tessa smiling next to a teenage Nathan, both of them holding up books. "I remember that day," Nathan said softly. "You just finished The Giver. We were arguing about the ending." "We took that right before you left for college," Rita said, coming to stand beside him. "You have no idea what you meant to our family. When Tessa was at her lowest, when we thought we might lose her, you gave her something to look forward to. Those Saturday visits kept her fighting." Thomas Williams emerged from the kitchen, a tall man with graying hair and a warm handshake. "Nathan Turner. Or Pierce now, I hear. Building tech empires and keeping promises. That's impressive." They sat down to dinner and Nathan found himself relaxing. The Williams family was warm and genuine, asking him questions about his life and his daughter. They wanted to know about Ella, about his company, about his plans with Tessa. "We're taking things one day at a time," Tessa said, smiling at Nathan across the table. "But it feels right. Like we're building something real." "Good," Thomas said. "You both deserve happiness. God knows you've both seen enough hard times." After dinner, as Rita brought out apple pie, Nathan decided it was time. His heart hammered, but he pushed forward. "Mr. and Mrs. Williams, I need to talk to you about something. Tessa told me about the medical debt you're still carrying from her treatment. 20 years later, and you're both still working extra jobs to pay it off." The room went quiet. Rita and Thomas exchanged a glance. "That's our burden to carry," Thomas said carefully. "We chose to do whatever it took to save our daughter. We'd do it again." "I know you would. And I'm not trying to diminish that sacrifice. But I can help. I want to help. Please let me pay off your debt." "Nathan, that's too much," Rita protested. "We can't accept." "Why not?" Nathan leaned forward, his voice passionate. "Your daughter saved my life. She gave me purpose when I had none. Every success I've had traces back to those Saturdays in room 304 when Tessa taught me what real courage looked like. This isn't charity. It's gratitude. It's me trying to repay a debt I can never fully repay." "That's a lot of money," Thomas said quietly. "The debt is in the hundreds of thousands." "I know. And to me that's a rounding error on a quarterly report. But to you it's years of your lives. It's missed opportunities and extra jobs and constant stress. Please, let me do this. Let me help the people who raised the woman I'm falling in love with." Tessa's eyes went wide at his words, but Nathan kept his focus on her parents. Rita was crying now, quiet tears sliding down her cheeks. "You're sure? You really want to do this?" "More than anything." Thomas cleared his throat roughly. "Then we accept. With gratitude. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you for giving us our lives back." Nathan felt relief wash over him. "Thank you for trusting me. I'll have my financial team reach out this week to get everything handled." Rita stood up and came around the table to hug him. "You're a good man, Nathan Pierce. A good man with a good heart. Take care of our daughter." "I will. I promise." Later, as Nathan and Tessa drove back to her apartment, she was quiet. He glanced over worried. "Are you okay? Was that too much? You said you're falling in love with me." Tessa's voice was soft, wondering. Nathan's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "I did. Is that okay?" "It's more than okay." Tessa reached over and took his hand. "Because I'm falling in love with you too. Maybe I have been since I was 12 years old and you showed up in room 304 with that nervous smile." Nathan pulled the car over to the side of the road, not caring that they were still blocks from her apartment. He turned to her, cupping her face in his hands. "Say it again. I'm falling in love with you, Nathan Pierce." He kissed her, pouring everything he felt into it. All the years of wondering, all the hope he'd carried, all the joy of finding her again. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. "I love you," Nathan said clearly. "Not falling, not maybe. I love you, Tessa Williams. I think I've loved you since I was 14 years old and didn't know what love meant." "I love you too." Tessa laughed through happy tears. "This is crazy. 3 months ago I didn't even know you were alive, and now I can't imagine my life without you." "Then don't. Don't imagine a life without me. Because I'm not going anywhere." They sat there in the car holding each other as the city moved around them. Eventually Nathan drove her home, but he didn't want to leave. They stood outside her apartment building, reluctant to part. "Come upstairs," Tessa said suddenly. "I want you to see my place. Meet Luna. Stay a while longer." Nathan followed her up 3 flights of stairs to a small apartment that was pure Tessa. Plants on every surface, books overflowing the shelves, art on the walls. A gray cat watched them from the couch with suspicious yellow eyes. "Luna, be nice. This is Nathan. Luna meowed disapprovingly but allowed Nathan to pet her. They settled on the couch, Luna between them, and talked for hours. Tessa showed Nathan photos from nursing school, told him stories about patients who had touched her heart. Nathan shared more about building his company, the failures and near misses before the success. I want you to know something, Tessa said as midnight approached. About what happened today with my parents. That wasn't just about money. You gave them their freedom back. My mom can finally retire from her second job. My dad can stop doing night security shifts. They can actually enjoy their lives instead of just surviving. You did that. We did that. You brought me back into their lives. But you chose to help. You didn't have to. Of course I did. They're your family, which makes them important to me. Tessa kissed him softly. Thank you. For everything. For being the boy who kept his promise and the man who exceeds every hope I had. Nathan stayed until almost 2 in the morning, only leaving because Tessa had an early shift at the hospital. As he drove home through empty streets, he felt lighter than he had in years. The next day he called his financial team and set everything in motion to pay off the Williams family debt. He also increased the foundation's initial budget, allocating funds specifically for helping families with medical expenses. That evening, Ella asked him why he was so happy. I told Tessa I love her, Nathan admitted. And she said it back. Ella grinned. Good. When are you going to marry her? Ella, we just said I love you. So, you love her. She loves you. I like her. What are you waiting for? Nathan laughed and pulled his daughter into a hug. Patience, kiddo. These things take time. But privately, Nathan was already thinking about it. About what forever with Tessa might look like. About building a life together, blending their worlds, becoming a family. He looked at the silver bracelet on his wrist and remembered the promise. Not just the promise to find Tessa, but the deeper promise underneath. The promise to never give up, to fight for what mattered, to believe in second chances. Tessa had kept her promise to survive. He'd kept his promise to find her. Now they were making new promises, building a future neither of them had dared to imagine. And for the first time since Jennifer's death, Nathan let himself believe in forever again. The foundation project was taking shape beautifully. Tessa and Nathan had assembled a team including social workers, medical advocates, and families who had been through the experience. They were calling it the Second Chance Foundation, a name that carried meaning for both of them. On a crisp October afternoon, Nathan sat in a conference room with his foundation director, mapping out the pilot program. His phone buzzed with a text from Tessa. Timothy got good news today. Scans are clear. He's responding to treatment. Nathan smiled and typed back, that's wonderful. See you tonight? Wouldn't miss it. Ella wants to show me her latest painting. Tessa had become a fixture in their lives. She came to dinner 3 times a week, joined them for Ella's soccer games, spent Sunday afternoons at the penthouse. She and Ella had developed their own relationship, independent of Nathan, bonded by their shared love of art and bad puns. That evening, as promised, Tessa arrived with takeout from Ella's favorite Thai restaurant. They ate together at the dining table, Ella talking nonstop about her day at school. And then in science we dissected owl pellets. It was disgusting but also cool because we found tiny mouse bones. Sarah almost threw up, but I thought it was interesting. Did you ever dissect things in school, Tessa? In nursing school, yes. We had to learn anatomy somehow. Was it gross? Sometimes. But it was also fascinating. The human body is incredible when you understand how it all works together. After dinner, Ella pulled out her latest painting. It was a landscape, trees and mountains and a bright blue sky. But in the foreground she'd added 3 figures. A tall man, a woman and a child, all holding hands. This is us, Ella said simply. Our family. Nathan felt his throat tighten. He glanced at Tessa, who had tears in her eyes. It's beautiful, Ella, Tessa said softly. Can I keep it? Really? You want it? I'd love to hang it in my apartment. That way I can look at it every day and remember I have people who love me. Ella beamed and threw her arms around Tessa. I love you, Tessa. You're like my second mom. Tessa hugged her back and Nathan saw her wiping tears. I love you too, sweetie. So much. Later, after Ella had gone to bed, Nathan and Tessa sat on the balcony, wrapped in a blanket against the cool night air. She called me her second mom, Tessa said, wonder in her voice. Nathan, she called me her second mom. How does that make you feel? Terrified. Honored. Happy. All of it at once. I never thought. I mean, I knew we were getting close, but I didn't realize she felt that way. Nathan pulled her closer. Ella has a way of knowing what she feels and saying it. No filter, no holding back. She loves you, Tessa. Not because she's forgotten Jennifer, but because you've made room in our lives for love again. I would never try to replace Jennifer. I know. And Ella knows that too. But you're becoming your own important person in her life. And in mine. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the city lights below. I want to ask you something, Nathan said after a while. And you can say no, take time to think about it, whatever you need. Okay. Now I'm nervous. Don't be. It's just. Thanksgiving is in a few weeks. My family always does a big dinner. My sister Claire, her husband and kids, my parents flying in from Florida. I'd like you to come. Meet everyone officially as my girlfriend. Tessa turned to look at him. You want me to meet your parents? I do. They already know about you. Claire told them the whole story, and they're excited to meet the woman I've been talking about non-stop. And your parents are okay with this? With you dating again? They love Jennifer, but they want me to be happy. They've been worried about me for 3 years. Finding you, building this relationship, it's given me life again. They can see that. Tessa nodded slowly. Okay. Yes. I'll come to Thanksgiving. And actually, I want to ask you something too. Anything. Come to my parents' house for Christmas. They do a whole thing, it's loud and chaotic and wonderful. My aunt and uncle come, my cousins, everyone. They want to meet Ella and spend time with you. Would you both come? We'd love to. Nathan kissed her forehead. Look at us, planning holidays together like a real couple. We are a real couple. The realest. Nathan paused. Tessa, I need to tell you something. Ella asked me when I'm going to marry you. Tessa stiffened slightly. What did you tell her? That we're taking things one step at a time. But honestly, I've been thinking about it. Not right now, not tomorrow, but eventually. I can see a future with you. Forever with you. Is that something you want too? Eventually? Tessa was quiet for so long that Nathan worried he'd pushed too hard. Then she turned and took his face in her hands. Nathan Pierce, I have been in love with you since I was 12 years old. Not the same way, not this way, but you've been in my heart for 20 years. So yes, eventually, I want forever with you. I want to marry you and be Ella's stepmom and build a life together. But you're right, not yet. Let's do this right. Meet each other's families, build our foundation together, let Ella adjust. And then when the time is right. When the time is right, I'm going to ask you to marry me, Nathan finished. And you're going to say yes. I absolutely am. They kissed under the stars, and Nathan felt like he'd been given a gift he didn't deserve but would treasure forever. Thanksgiving arrived with its usual chaos. Nathan's penthouse was full of people, noise, and the smell of turkey. His parents, Robert and Helen Pierce, had arrived the day before. His sister Claire was there with her husband and 3 kids. And Tessa, who had arrived early to help with preparations and was currently in the kitchen with Nathan's mom, both of them laughing about something. She fits right in, Claire observed, standing next to Nathan as they watched through the doorway. Mom loves her already. I love her, Nathan said simply. I know you do. I can see it. The way you look at her, it's like Jennifer but also different. Like you've been given a second chance and you're not wasting a minute of it. That's exactly what it is. A second chance. Ella ran past, chasing her younger cousins, and accidentally bumped into the doorframe. Tessa was there immediately, checking her over, making sure she was okay. Ella giggled and hugged her before running off again. She's good with kids, Claire noted. She's good with everyone. Patients love her, parents trust her, my daughter adores her. I won the lottery when you set up that blind date. Don't you forget it? I expect to be maid of honor when you finally propose. Deal. Dinner was loud and wonderful. Robert Pierce said grace, thanking God for family, for health, for second chances and new beginnings. Nathan caught Tessa's eye across the table and smiled. After dinner, while the adults cleaned up and the kids played, Nathan's father pulled him aside. Walk with me, Robert said, and they stepped out onto the balcony. I want to give you something, Robert continued, reaching into his pocket. He pulled out a small velvet box. This was my mother's engagement ring. Your grandmother's. I gave it to your mother when I proposed and she wore it until we could afford something nicer. She's been saving it, hoping you'd want it someday. Nathan opened the box. Inside was a simple gold band with a single diamond, small but beautiful. Dad, I can't take this. It's too important. It's exactly important enough. Tessa doesn't strike me as someone who needs a big flashy ring. She needs something with meaning, with history. This ring represents a marriage that lasted 50 years before your grandmother passed. It represents love that endured through hard times and celebrated good times. That's what you and Tessa are building. Nathan felt tears in his eyes. Thank you, Dad. This means everything. Your mother and I like her very much. She's good for you, good for Ella. Don't wait too long to ask her. I won't. I'm thinking Christmas. At her parents' house with both families there. If she says yes, she'll say yes. That woman looks at you like you hung the moon. They went back inside and Nathan tucked the ring box safely in his pocket. So, he'd ask soon. The next day, Tessa brought Nathan to Children's Mercy Hospital for a special announcement. The Second Chance Foundation was officially launching its pilot program. Timothy's family would be the first recipients of comprehensive support. In the hospital conference room with medical staff and administrators present, Nathan and Tessa stood together to explain the program. This foundation is personal for both of us, Tessa began. I was Timothy 20 years ago. A sick kid with parents who were breaking themselves trying to save me. The stress of medical bills almost destroyed my family. We want to make sure no family has to face that choice again. Nathan continued, the Second Chance Foundation will provide financial assistance for medical bills, housing near hospitals, meal services, transportation, and mental health support for the whole family. We're starting with 5 families in the pilot program, with plans to expand nationally within 2 years. The room erupted in applause. Afterward, Timothy's parents approached them, both crying. Thank you, Timothy's mom said. You've given us hope. You've given us a chance to focus on our son getting better instead of worrying about losing our house. That's exactly why we're doing this, Tessa assured her. How is Timothy doing? Better. The doctors are optimistic. And knowing we have this support, it makes everything easier. As they left the hospital that evening, Nathan took Tessa's hand. We did good today. We really did. This is just the beginning, Nathan. We're going to help so many families. Together, Nathan emphasized. We're doing this together. Just like we're going to do everything else. Together. Tessa squeezed his hand. Together. I like the sound of that. The ring box felt heavy in Nathan's pocket, but in the best way. Soon he thought. Very soon, he'd ask the question he'd been wanting to ask since the moment Tessa walked into that restaurant and back into his life. But for now, it was enough to walk beside her, hand in hand, building their future one day at a time. December arrived with cold winds and the first snowfall of the season. Ella was thrilled, building snowmen in the park with Tessa while Nathan watched from a bench, taking pictures on his phone. They look happy, Warren said, sitting down beside him. Nathan's business partner had stopped by to drop off some paperwork and had been roped into a park visit. They are. We all are. Nathan snapped another photo as Ella put a carrot nose on the snowman. You're going to propose, aren't you? Warren asked directly. I can tell. You have that look. What look? The look of a man who's made a decision and is just waiting for the right moment. Nathan smiled. Christmas. At Tessa's parents' house. I have my grandmother's ring. Good choice. Classic, meaningful. Tessa will love it. I hope so. I'm nervous though. What if it's too soon? What if Ella isn't as ready as she seems? Nathan, stop. You know it's right. Everyone can see it's right. You and Tessa fit together like you were made for each other. And Ella adores her. Ask the question. Start the next chapter. But before Nathan could start the next chapter, he needed to close another one properly. That afternoon, after warming up with hot chocolate at home, Nathan asked Ella if she wanted to visit her mom's grave with him. Just us two. Ella asked. Just us two. I think it's time we talk to Mom together about Tessa. They drove to the cemetery on the edge of the city. Jennifer's grave was in a peaceful section under a large oak tree. Nathan had chosen it carefully, knowing Jennifer loved trees. They stood together looking at the headstone, Jennifer Pierce. Beloved wife and mother. Forever in our hearts. Hi, Mom, Ella said softly. Dad and I came to visit. We brought flowers. The purple ones you liked. Nathan placed the flowers on the grave, then knelt down beside Ella. Jennifer, he started, his voice rough with emotion. I need to talk to you about something. There's a woman, her name is Tessa. I've told you about her before, but it's different now. I love her. She loves me. She loves Ella. And I'm going to ask her to marry me. He paused, feeling Ella's small hand slip into his. I need you to know this doesn't mean I stopped loving you. It doesn't mean I forgot you or that what we had wasn't real. You gave me the best years of my life. You gave me Ella, which is the greatest gift I could ever receive. But you're gone, Jennifer. And I'm still here. Ella's still here. And we need to keep living. Tears ran down his face, but he kept talking. Tessa makes me happy in a way I didn't think I'd ever feel again. She's kind and patient with Ella. She understands grief because she's faced her own battles. She doesn't try to replace you, she just makes room in our lives for joy again. I think you'd like her. I think you'd approve. Ella squeezed his hand tighter. Mom, she said, her voice small but steady. I miss you every day. I talk to you in my head all the time. But Dad's right. Tessa is really nice. She helps me with art projects and comes to my soccer games and makes Dad smile again. I think it's okay to be happy again. I think you'd want us to be happy. They stood there in silence, the cold wind rustling through bare branches above them. Nathan felt something shift inside him, a weight lifting that he'd been carrying for 3 years. Thank you, he whispered to Jennifer's grave. Thank you for everything you gave me. Thank you for understanding. I'll always love you. Always. He and Ella walked back to the car, hand in hand. On the drive home, Ella was quiet for a while before speaking. Dad? Do you think Mom knows? About Tessa? I think if there's anything after this life, then yes, she knows. And I think she's happy we found someone who loves us. I think so too. Mom always wanted you to be happy. She told me that once when she was helping me with homework. She said your happiness was her favorite thing. Nathan had to pull over because he was crying too hard to drive safely. He and Ella held each other in the car, grieving and healing and accepting all at once. That evening, Tessa came over for dinner as usual. She took one look at Nathan and Ella and knew something had happened. We went to see Jennifer, Nathan explained over pasta that none of them were really eating. We told her about you. About us. Tessa reached across the table, taking both their hands. Thank you for including me in that. I know it wasn't easy. It was necessary, Nathan said. I needed to honor what I had with Jennifer before I could fully embrace what I have with you. Does that make sense? Perfect sense. Is love something you have to let go of to find again? Or does love expand to hold everything we've lost and everything we're building? Think about it and subscribe for more stories that remind us that the heart is bigger than we imagine. Later, after Ella had gone to bed, Tessa and Nathan talked on the couch. Tell me about her, Tessa said suddenly. About Jennifer. I want to know who she was. Nathan was surprised but touched. She was wonderful. Brilliant, like scary smart. She had a PhD in computer engineering and could code circles around most of my team. But she was also funny and kind. She volunteered at animal shelters and cried during sad commercials. She sounds amazing. She was. Ella is so much like her. The same quick mind, the same compassion for people and animals. Jennifer would have loved that you're a nurse. She always admired people who chose careers helping others. Do you think she'd approve? Of us? Nathan considered this carefully. Yes. Jennifer wanted me to be happy. When she was in the hospital after the accident, before she died, she made me promise not to shut down. She said Ella needed a dad who was present, not lost in grief. She was giving me permission to move forward, even though neither of us could have imagined it would be this soon. 3 years isn't soon, Nathan. It feels soon sometimes. But you're right. It's been 3 years of slowly rebuilding, of learning to be a single parent, of figuring out who I am without her. And then you walked into that restaurant and everything clicked into place. Tessa leaned her head on his shoulder. I'm so grateful Claire set up that blind date. Me too. Best blind date in history. They sat quietly for a while before Tessa spoke again. Nathan? I need to tell you something. His heart skipped. Okay. I've been holding back a little. Not with my feelings, those are real and strong. But with planning for the future. Because I'm so aware of Jennifer and what you lost. I didn't want to push too hard or move too fast or seem like I was trying to erase her memory. Tessa? Let me finish. But today, hearing that you went to her grave and talked to her about us, it made me realize I don't have to hold back. You've made space in your heart for me while still honoring what you had with her. That's beautiful, Nathan. And it makes me love you even more. Nathan pulled her close. I want you to know you're not a replacement. You're not second choice. You're a second chance at happiness, which is completely different. I love you for who you are, not for filling a gap Jennifer left. Thank you for saying that. It's the truth. Nathan hesitated, then decided to go for it. Tessa, I want to marry you. Not someday, not eventually. So, I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to build our foundation together as husband and wife. I want Ella to officially have you as her stepmom. Is that what you want too? Yes, Tessa said without hesitation. That's exactly what I want. Then get ready. Because it's coming soon. Nathan kissed her, pouring all his love and hope and dreams into it. Over the next few weeks as Christmas approached, Nathan felt lighter than he had in years. He'd faced his past, honored Jennifer's memory, received Ella's blessing, and had Tessa's confirmation that she wanted forever too. The ring sat in his desk drawer at work, waiting for the perfect moment. At Tessa's family Christmas, surrounded by people who loved them both, he'd ask the question. And she'd say yes. He was sure of it. Christmas Eve arrived wrapped in fresh snow and possibility. Nathan, Ella, and Mrs. Chin drove across town to the Williams family home, the car filled with wrapped presents and nervous excitement. "Are you okay, Daddy?" Ella asked from the back seat. "You keep fidgeting." "I'm fine, sweetie." "Are you going to propose to Tessa today?" Nathan's eyes went wide. "How did you know?" "Please. You've been acting weird all week. Plus, I saw you looking at ring boxes online." "I'm not blind." Mrs. Chin chuckled from the passenger seat. Miss Ella very observant. "Well, yes," Nathan admitted. "I'm planning to propose today. Is that okay with you?" "Daddy, I literally painted a picture of the three of us as a family. I've been ready since day one. Just don't mess it up." "No pressure," Nathan muttered, but he was smiling. The Williams home was decorated beautifully, white lights strung along the porch, a wreath on the door. Music and laughter spilled out as they approached. Rita answered the door, pulling them all into hugs. Come in, come in. It's freezing out there." Tessa's in the kitchen, and Thomas is attempting to fix the oven. The house was full of people. Tessa's aunt and uncle had driven in from upstate. Her cousins and their children filled every available space. It was chaotic and warm and everything Christmas should be. Nathan found Tessa in the kitchen, wearing a bright red sweater and flour in her hair. She was rolling out cookie dough while arguing with her cousin about the right ratio of chocolate chips to dough. "There's no such thing as too many chocolate chips," Tessa insisted. "There absolutely is," her cousin Lauren countered. "It becomes chocolate with cookie accent instead of the other way around." "Nathan can settle this," Tessa said, spotting him. She crossed the kitchen and kissed him. "How many chocolate chips belong in a cookie?" "I'm smart enough not to answer that question." Nathan glanced around to make sure no one was paying attention, then whispered, "You look beautiful." "I look like a flower explosion, but thank you." The day unfolded with the comfortable chaos of family gatherings. They played games, ate too much food, and watched Ella teach Tessa's younger cousins how to build card houses. Nathan caught Rita watching him several times, a knowing smile on her face. After dinner, as evening settled in and the children played with their new toys, Thomas stood up and clinked his glass. "I want to make a toast," he announced. "This year has been one of miracles. 20 years ago we almost lost our daughter. But she fought and survived and became this incredible woman who dedicates her life to helping other families avoid our pain. Tessa, we are so proud of you." Tessa wiped tears from her eyes as people applauded. Thomas continued, "And this year brought another miracle. The boy who visited Tessa in the hospital, who gave her hope when she needed it most, walked back into her life. Nathan, you've become family to us. You and your wonderful daughter Ella. We're grateful to have you here." More applause. Nathan's heart was racing. This was it. This was the moment. He stood up, the ring box suddenly heavy in his pocket. The room went quiet. "Thank you, Thomas. And thank you to everyone here for welcoming us so warmly. I want to tell you all a story." He moved to stand next to Tessa, who looked up at him with curious eyes. 20 years ago, I was a 14-year-old kid volunteering at a hospital. I met a 12-year-old girl who was fighting for her life. She was brave and funny and so much stronger than I was. On my last day volunteering, she gave me a bracelet and made me promise that I'd find her again when we were grown up. Nathan pushed up his sleeve, showing the silver bracelet. Several people gasped. "I kept that promise. Or rather, my sister kept it for me by setting up a blind date with a woman she worked with. When Tessa walked into that restaurant 8 months ago, my entire world stopped. The girl I'd never forgotten was standing in front of me, alive and beautiful and everything I'd hoped she'd be." Tessa's eyes were filling with tears. She was starting to understand where this was going. "These past 8 months have been the happiest of my life. Not just for me but for my daughter. Tessa has brought joy back into our home. She's shown me that it's possible to honor the past while embracing the future. She's taught me that love can survive 20 years apart and come back stronger than ever." Nathan got down on one knee. The room erupted in excited whispers. Ella was bouncing on her toes. "Tessa Williams, 20 years ago you gave me a bracelet and made me promise to find you. Today I want to give you a ring and make a different promise. I promise to love you every day for the rest of my life. I promise to support your dreams and be your partner in building our foundation. I promise to be the husband you deserve and the father Ella needs. Will you marry me?" He opened the ring box, revealing his grandmother's simple but beautiful engagement ring. Tessa's hands flew to her mouth, tears streaming down her face. "Yes," she said, her voice shaking. Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. The room exploded with cheers and applause. Nathan slid the ring onto Tessa's finger, then stood and pulled her into his arms. They kissed while their families celebrated around them. Ella ran over, wrapping her arms around both of them. I get a mom again, she said, crying happy tears. I finally get a mom again. Tessa knelt down to Ella's level, taking her hands. Ella, I promise to be the best stepmom I can be. I won't try to replace your mom, but I'll love you with everything I have. Is that okay? It's perfect. Ella threw her arms around Tessa's neck. Rita was crying. Thomas was grinning. Everyone was hugging and talking at once. Mrs. Chin took about 100 pictures. It was perfect chaos. Later, when things had calmed down a bit, Nathan found himself on the back porch with Thomas. The older man handed him a beer. That was well done, Thomas said. You honored the past while celebrating the future. Jennifer would be proud. You think so? I know so. From what you've told us about her, she loved you and wanted you happy. Tessa makes you happy. That's what matters. They stood in comfortable silence, watching snowflakes drift down through the porch light. You know, Thomas continued, when Tessa was sick, I used to pray for two things. First, that she'd survive. Second, that if she survived, she'd find someone who understood what she'd been through. Someone who'd seen her at her worst and still believed in her best. You were that person before you were old enough to know what that meant. Now you get to be that person as adults building a life together. I'm going to take care of her, Nathan promised. I'm going to make her happy. I know you will. Welcome to the family, son. Inside, Tessa was showing her ring to everyone, the simple gold band catching the light. She looked up and caught Nathan's eye through the window, smiling that brilliant smile he'd first fallen in love with in a hospital room. Ella tugged on his sleeve when he came back inside. Dad, can I ask you something? Anything. When you marry Tessa, can I be in the wedding? Like, not just a bridesmaid, but can I walk her down the aisle or something? Because she's becoming my mom too, so I should be part of it. Nathan's throat tightened. That's a beautiful idea. Let's ask Tessa. They found Tessa in the kitchen stealing a cookie. When Ella explained her idea, Tessa started crying again. Ella, that's the most perfect thing I've ever heard. Yes. You should absolutely walk me down the aisle. We'll do it together. They had a group hug in the middle of the kitchen while Rita snapped more photos. As the evening wound down and guests started leaving, Nathan and Tessa found a quiet moment alone in the living room. The Christmas tree lights cast everything in a warm glow. I can't believe we're engaged, Tessa said, looking at her ring for the 100th time. This feels like a dream. It's real. You're stuck with me now. Good. I don't want to be unstuck. She leaned into him. Thank you for the ring. For using your grandmother's. It means everything that you're bringing your family history into our future. That's what I want. All of us, all our histories and families and stories, coming together into something new. When should we get married? Tessa asked. Spring? Summer? How about spring? April or May? Give us time to plan, but not so long that we're waiting forever. April sounds perfect. Spring, new beginnings, everything blooming. Yes. They sealed it with a kiss, and Nathan felt like every piece of his life was finally falling into place. The grief would always be there, a part of him, but it no longer defined him. He'd loved and lost and found love again. He'd made a promise and kept it. He'd been given a second chance at happiness, and he was going to treasure every moment. Ella appeared in the doorway, half asleep. Can we go home now? I'm tired. Of course, kiddo. Let's get you home. As they said their goodbyes, Rita pulled Nathan aside. Thank you for making my daughter so happy. Thank you for being the man who kept his promise. Thank you for raising such an incredible woman. In the car on the way home, Ella fell asleep almost immediately. Mrs. Chin smiled at Nathan in the rearview mirror. Very good day, Mr. Nathan. Very good day. The best, Nathan agreed, looking at the ring on Tessa's finger as she dozed against his shoulder. His phone buzzed with a text from Claire. I saw the photos. You're engaged. Told you that blind date was a good idea. Nathan smiled and typed back, best idea you ever had. Thank you, Claire. For everything. You're welcome. Now plan a wedding and let me throw you the best engagement party this city has ever seen. Nathan put his phone away and just enjoyed the moment. The woman he loved was about to become his wife. His daughter was happy. Their families were united. The foundation was helping families in need. Everything was coming together in ways he never could have planned. The silver bracelet on his wrist caught the light from passing street lamps. A promise made. A promise kept. And now, a new promise beginning. Forever with Tessa. Forever building a life together. Forever proving that love could survive anything, even 20 years and impossible odds. Some promises, Nathan thought as he kissed Tessa's sleeping forehead, are worth waiting a lifetime to keep. The week after Christmas, Nathan and Tessa's engagement was all anyone could talk about. Phone calls and texts poured in from friends, colleagues, and family members. True to her word, Claire began planning an engagement party with the same energy she brought to everything else in her life. "I'm thinking mid-January," Claire said over coffee at Nathan's office. "Give people time to recover from holidays but not so long that the excitement fades. We'll do it at the plaza, invite everyone who matters, make it a night to remember." "Claire, that's too much," Nathan protested. "Nonsense. You're my brother and I set you up with your future wife. I get to celebrate." Tessa, who had joined them, laughed. "I think she's made up her mind, Nathan. We should just say yes." "Smart woman," Claire said approvingly. "This is why I like you, Tessa. You understand that resistance is futile." But it was what Claire said next that truly surprised them. "I need to confess something," she said, her expression growing serious. "I didn't accidentally set you two up. I found Tessa deliberately." Nathan set down his coffee. "What do you mean?" "After Jennifer died, I watched you struggle for 3 years. You were functioning, being a good dad to Ella, running the company. But you weren't living. You were just surviving. So I started thinking about that story you told me once about the girl in the hospital who made you believe in fighting for what matters." "Tessa," Nathan said softly. "Exactly. I remembered you said her name was Tessa Williams, that she had leukemia at St. Mary's Hospital. So I started digging. I checked with hospital records, worked my board connections, searched social media. It took me 6 months, but I found her. Working at Children's Mercy under her same name, just moved back to the city. I engineered getting on the hospital board where she worked, became her friend over time, never told her about you." "Claire." Tessa's voice was awed. "You did all that?" "I did. And I'm not sorry. You two were meant to be together. 20 years apart didn't change that. Someone just needed to push fate along." Nathan was quiet for a long moment. Then he got up and hugged his sister. "Thank you. For never giving up on me. For finding her." "That's what family does," Claire said, her voice thick with emotion. "Now stop making me cry and help me plan this party." The engagement party took over Nathan's life for the next few weeks. While Claire handled logistics, Nathan and Tessa focused on the guest list. Combining their worlds meant bringing together tech billionaires and nurses, society people and Tessa's working-class family. It could have been awkward, but somehow it wasn't. "People are people," Tessa said when Nathan worried about the mix. "Your friends are nice. My family is welcoming. It'll be fine." She was right. The night of the party, the plaza ballroom filled with an eclectic mix of guests who all had one thing in common. They loved Nathan and Tessa. Warren gave a toast that had everyone laughing and crying. "I've known Nathan for 10 years. Built a company with him. Watched him fall in love, get married, become a father, and survive the worst loss imaginable. I thought I'd never see him truly happy again." Then Tessa walked back into his life, and it was like watching someone wake up from a long sleep. To Nathan and Tessa, may your love continue to prove that some promises are forever. Rita Williams spoke next, her voice shaking with emotion. "My daughter is my hero. She fought cancer and won. She dedicated her life to helping others. And she never stopped believing that the boy who kept her company on the hardest days of her life would come back. Now they're here together building a future. It's proof that miracles happen." But it was Ella's speech that made everyone reach for tissues. "I'm 10 years old," Ella began, standing on a chair so everyone could see her. "And I've had 2 moms. My first mom died when I was 7. I missed her so much it hurt. I thought I'd never have a mom again. Then Tessa came. She didn't try to replace my first mom. She just loved me and my dad so much that she made room in our family for happiness again. Tessa teaches me to paint and comes to my soccer games and tells me I'm smart even when I fail tests. She makes my dad smile. And now she's going to be my stepmom for real. I'm the luckiest kid because I get to have 2 moms who love me. Thank you, Tessa, for saying yes to my dad and yes to being my family." There wasn't a dry eye in the room. Tessa climbed onto the chair with Ella and hugged her tightly while people applauded. Later in the evening, as Nathan and Tessa danced to their favorite song, he whispered, "This is perfect. Everyone we love in one room, celebrating us. It really is. Your world and my world becoming our world." "Speaking of which," Nathan said, "have you thought about where we'll live after the wedding? My penthouse, your apartment, or somewhere new?" Tessa was quiet for a moment. "I love my apartment, but it's tiny. And your penthouse is beautiful, but it's yours and Jennifer's. What if we found somewhere that's just ours? Somewhere we choose together. I love that idea. A fresh start for our family. With space for a studio where Ella and I can paint, Tessa added. And a home office for late-night foundation work, Nathan continued. And a big kitchen because I actually like cooking, unlike you. Hey, I make excellent toast. They laughed together, already building their future home in their minds. Across the room, Nathan's parents were talking with Tessa's parents. Robert and Thomas were deep in conversation about fishing, while Helen and Rita were looking at pictures on their phones, probably of grandchildren. Our families are getting along, Tessa observed. Of course they are. We raised good people. The evening continued with dancing, stories, and laughter. Nathan's business associates mingled with Tessa's nursing colleagues. Ella played with Claire's kids while Mrs. Chen watched over them all like a benevolent grandmother. Warren approached Nathan during a quiet moment. Can we talk business for just a second? At my engagement party? Nathan teased. It's important. The board wants to expand the Second Chance Foundation beyond the pilot program. They're proposing a $20 million budget for next year. $20 million, Nathan. We could help hundreds of families. Nathan felt his heart race. That's incredible. Tessa will be thrilled. There's more. They want to name it after her. The Tessa Williams Second Chance Foundation. Recognition for everything she's survived and everything she's building to help others. Warren, that's huge. But we should ask her first. They found Tessa talking with some nurses from her hospital. When Warren explained the proposal, she looked stunned. My name on the foundation? I don't need that. The work is what matters. But your story will inspire people to donate, Warren explained. Families will see that you survived and dedicated your life to helping others. It puts a face to the cause, makes it personal. Tessa looked at Nathan, uncertainty in her eyes. He took her hand. It's your choice, he said. But I think Warren's right. Your story is powerful. If sharing it helps more families, isn't that worth it? Okay, Tessa said slowly. Yes, if it helps, I'll do it. But I want to be involved in every decision. I want to make sure we're helping the right way. Absolutely, Warren agreed. You and Nathan will lead this together. The announcement of the foundation expansion was made before the party ended. People applauded, many reaching for their phones to make immediate donations. By the end of the night, they'd raised an additional $3 million just from guests who wanted to contribute. We're going to change lives, Tessa said as they rode home in the car, Ella asleep between them. Really truly change lives. We already are. Timothy's family is thriving. The other 4 pilot families are reporting less stress, better outcomes. This expansion means we can do that for hundreds more. When they arrived home, Nathan carried Ella to her room while Tessa waited in the living room. After tucking his daughter in, he found Tessa standing by the window looking out at the city. Everything okay? He asked, wrapping his arms around her from behind. More than okay. I'm just thinking about how much has changed in 8 months. Last April, I was a single nurse living alone with my cat, wondering if I'd ever find love. Now I'm engaged to the love of my life, helping run a foundation that will save families from the nightmare mine went through, and about to become a stepmom to an incredible kid. It's overwhelming in the best way. We're building something beautiful, Nathan agreed. Something that honors where we've been and celebrates where we're going. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the city lights twinkle below. 3 months until the wedding, Tessa said. Are you ready? I've been ready since the day you walked into that restaurant. The question is, are you ready to be Mrs. Tessa Pierce? Actually, Tessa said slowly, I was thinking about keeping Williams professionally, for the foundation and the hospital. But using Pierce personally. Best of both worlds. Whatever makes you happy. You could be Tessa Williams Pierce or just Tessa, or Princess Consuela Banana Hammock for all I care. As long as you're mine, the name doesn't matter. Tessa laughed. Did you just quote Friends? Ella's been binge-watching it. It's affecting my references. I love you, Nathan Pierce. I love you too, Tessa Williams soon-to-be Pierce. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of wedding planning. They chose an outdoor venue, a garden estate just outside the city. April weather could be unpredictable, but they were willing to take the risk for the beauty of spring flowers and green grass. Ella was heavily involved in every decision, insisting on purple flowers because Tessa loved purple when she was in the hospital. They compromised on purple accents with mostly white and pink blooms. The decorations should be bright and happy, Ella declared during a planning meeting with the wedding coordinator. This is a happy wedding. No boring colors. The coordinator wisely agreed with her. For the guest list, they decided to keep it relatively intimate. 150 people, close friends and family only. Children from the hospital where Tessa worked were invited as special guests, along with the families participating in the Foundation pilot program. Those families gave us purpose, Nathan explained to the confused wedding coordinator. They're part of our story. They should be there. As March melted into April and the wedding approached, Nathan found himself increasingly grateful for the journey that had brought him here. The pain of losing Jennifer hadn't disappeared, but it had transformed into something gentler. A bittersweet memory rather than an open wound. One evening, about a week before the wedding, Nathan was working late in his home office when Ella appeared in the doorway. "Can't sleep?" he asked. "I wanted to talk to you about something." She climbed into the chair across from his desk. "Is it okay that I'm excited about the wedding? Is it okay that I'm happy about Tessa becoming my stepmom?" "Of course it is, sweetie. Why would you think it's not okay?" "Because of Mom. My first mom. Sometimes I worry that being happy about Tessa means I'm forgetting her." Nathan came around the desk and knelt in front of his daughter. "Ella, listen to me. Loving Tessa doesn't mean you love your mom any less. The heart is big enough to hold all the love we have. Your mom would want you to be happy. She'd want us both to be happy. And Tessa makes us happy. But what if people think I forgot? The people who matter know you'll never forget. You carry your mom with you every day. In your smile, in your kindness, in the way you see the world. And now you get to have Tessa too. You get to have two moms who love you. That's not forgetting. That's being blessed twice." Ella hugged him tightly. "I love you, Daddy. I love you too, kiddo. Now get to bed. We have a wedding to prepare for." As the wedding day drew closer, Nathan felt a peace he hadn't experienced in years. His past was honored, his present was joyful, and his future was full of promise. He was marrying the girl from room 304, the woman who had shaped his life from the moment he met her. And this time he was never letting her go. April arrived with perfect weather, as if the universe was conspiring to make everything right. The morning of the wedding dawned clear and bright, with temperatures in the mid-70s and a gentle breeze that carried the scent of blooming flowers. Nathan woke early in his hotel room, unable to sleep from excitement. Warren was his best man and had stayed over to make sure everything went smoothly. "Nervous?" Warren asked over coffee on the balcony. "Not even a little. I'm marrying Tessa today. I've never been more certain of anything." "Good. Because there's a lot of people downstairs ready to witness it." Nathan's parents arrived mid-morning, along with Claire and her family. His father pulled him aside for a private conversation. "Your mother wanted me to give you this," Robert said, handing Nathan a folded letter. "It's from Jennifer. She wrote it before she died, made your mother promise to give it to you when you found love again." Nathan's hands shook as he unfolded the paper. Jennifer's handwriting filled the page. "My dearest Nathan, if you're reading this, it means you've found someone new to love. I'm so happy for you. Don't feel guilty. Don't hold back. I loved you with everything I had, and because I loved you, I want you to be happy even if I can't be there. Love her completely. Be the amazing husband I know you can be. Take care of our beautiful Ella. And remember that love doesn't end, it just changes form. I'll always be with you, cheering you on, celebrating your happiness. Live fully, Nathan. Promise me. All my love, always, Jennifer." Nathan cried while his father held him. When he finally composed himself, he felt lighter, freer. Jennifer had given him permission, given him her blessing. "Thank you, Dad. Thank you for keeping this. Your mother knew when the time was right. Today is that time." Across town, in a different hotel suite, Tessa was surrounded by her own chaos. Rita, Claire, and several bridesmaids were helping her get ready. The dress was simple but elegant, a flowing white gown with lace details. Ella, in her purple junior bridesmaid dress, was carefully holding Tessa's bouquet. "You look like a princess," Ella declared. "The prettiest princess ever. You look pretty beautiful yourself, kiddo." Tessa knelt down carefully. "Are you ready for this? Ready to walk me down the aisle?" "I've been ready forever. This is the best day ever." Rita was crying, of course. "My baby girl getting married. I never thought, after the cancer, I didn't dare hope for this day. I'm here, Mom. I survived, and now I get to marry the boy who helped me survive. It's perfect." Claire checked her watch. "Okay, everyone. We need to head to the venue. The ceremony starts in 90 minutes. The garden estate was transformed into something magical. White chairs sat in neat rows facing an arch covered in flowers. The purple accents Ella insisted on were everywhere, but blended beautifully with pinks and whites. String lights hung overhead, ready to glow when evening came. Timothy and several other children from the hospital sat in special seats near the front, honored guests who represented why Nathan and Tessa's love mattered beyond just the two of them. As guests arrived and took their seats, Nathan stood in a small room off to the side, adjusting his navy blue suit. Warren stood beside him, ready to fulfill his best man duties. "Last chance to run," Warren joked. "Not in a million years." The string quartet began playing, signaling the ceremony's start. Warren and Nathan took their positions under the flower arch. Nathan's heart raced with anticipation. First came the bridesmaids, walking in pairs down the white runner. Then Claire as maid of honor, carrying herself with typical grace. The music shifted to the wedding march. Everyone stood and turned toward the entrance. And there was Tessa. But she wasn't alone. True to their plan, Ella walked beside her, one hand holding Tessa's, the other carrying a small bouquet. They moved together down the aisle, a woman about to become a wife and a child about to gain a mother, walking toward the future as a team. Nathan's eyes filled with tears. This was it. This was everything he dreamed of and more. When they reached the arch, Ella carefully handed Tessa's bouquet to Claire, then took her place of honor between Nathan and Tessa, just as they'd planned. This wasn't just a marriage of two people. It was the creation of a family. The officiant, a friend of Tessa's from nursing school, smiled at the gathered crowd. "We are here today to celebrate something extraordinary. Not just a wedding but a promise kept. 20 years ago, a 14-year-old boy made a promise to a 12-year-old girl fighting for her life. He promised to find her again when they were grown. Today we witnessed that promise fulfilled. Nathan and Tessa, you've already proven that love can survive time and distance. Now you're promising to build a life together, to face whatever comes as partners, as husband and wife." Nathan and Tessa had written their own vows. Nathan went first, his voice strong despite his emotion. "Tessa, I was 14 years old when I met you and you changed my life. You taught me what courage looks like. You showed me that hope is a choice we make every day. I promised to find you, and the universe, with my sister's help, brought us back together. Today I make new promises. I promise to love you fiercely and gently. I promise to be your partner in building our foundation and our family. I promise to honor your past while building our future. I promise to be the husband worthy of your love. And I promise that this bracelet," he held up his wrist, showing the silver bracelet he'd worn for 20 years, "will stay on my wrist forever as a reminder that some promises are worth keeping for a lifetime." Tessa was crying openly now. She took a breath and began her vows. "Nathan, you were the boy who showed up every Saturday when you didn't have to. You read to me, made me laugh, and gave me a reason to keep fighting. You've been in my heart for 20 years, even when I didn't know where you were. Today I promise to love you with everything I am. I promise to be a partner to you and a mother to Ella. I promise to honor Jennifer's memory and the love you shared, while building something new with you. I promise to work beside you helping families who are fighting the battles we fought. And I promise that no matter what comes, we'll face it together. Because together we can survive anything." The officiant smiled. "Nathan, do you take Tessa to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward?" "I do. Absolutely I do." "And Tessa, do you take Nathan to be your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold from this day forward?" "I do. Forever I do." "Then by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Nathan, you may kiss your bride." Nathan pulled Tessa close and kissed her as their families and friends erupted in applause. When they broke apart, both were crying and laughing. But they weren't done. Nathan and Tessa both turned to Ella, and together they said, "And we promise to love you, Ella, as our daughter, forever and always." Ella threw her arms around both of them, and the three stood together under the flower arch, a family complete. The officiant raised his voice over the applause. "Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Nathan Pierce, Mrs. Tessa Pierce, and their daughter Ella." The reception that followed was everything a celebration should be. Dancing, speeches, laughter, and joy that filled the garden as day turned to evening and the string lights began to glow. Warren's toast was funny and heartfelt. "I've watched Nathan build an empire. But his greatest achievement isn't measured in dollars or stock prices. It's measured in love. The love of his daughter, the love he found again with Tessa, and the love they're spreading through their foundation. To the Pierce family, may your love continue to change lives." Rita's speech made everyone cry again. "My daughter is my hero. Today she married her hero. Together they're going to help other families survive and thrive. This isn't just a wedding. It's a promise to the world that hope matters, that love endures, and that second chances are real." But the most surprising speech came from Timothy's parents. They stood together, their son between them, and shared how the Second Chance Foundation had changed their lives. 3 months ago we were drowning, Timothy's father said. Our son was sick, we were broke, and we didn't know how we'd survive. Then Nathan and Tessa gave us hope. They gave us resources and support and the freedom to focus on Timothy's healing instead of Bill's. Today Timothy is in remission. We still have our house. Our marriage survived. And it's because two people who love each other decided their love should help others. Thank you, Nathan and Tessa. You saved our family. Nathan and Tessa held each other tightly as Timothy ran up to hug them both. As evening deepened and stars began to appear, Nathan and Tessa had their first dance as husband and wife. The song was one they'd chosen together, about finding your way home after being lost. We did it, Tessa whispered as they swayed together. We really did it. We're married. You're my wife. Ella has a mom again. It's perfect. It really is. Ella cut in halfway through the song, and Nathan and Tessa pulled her between them, dancing as a family while cameras captured the moment. Later, as the party continued around them, Nathan found a quiet moment with just Tessa. They stood at the edge of the garden looking back at the celebration. 20 years, Nathan said softly. From room 304 to here. Was it worth the wait? Every single second. Tessa touched the silver bracelet on his wrist, then held up her left hand where his grandmother's ring now sat beside her wedding band. You kept your promise. You found me. I'd find you in every lifetime. In every version of reality. You're my person, Tessa. My second chance. My forever. And you're mine. She kissed him softly. Thank you for being the boy who showed up on Saturdays. Thank you for being the man who never forgot. Thank you for building this beautiful life with me. As midnight approached and the party began to wind down, Nathan, Tessa, and Ella stood together, saying goodbye to guests. Thomas and Rita hugged them tightly. Nathan's parents offered blessings for their marriage. Warren promised to handle all business matters for the next 2 weeks while they honeymooned. Finally, it was just the three of them, standing in the fairy-light glow of the garden where they'd pledged their lives to each other. Best day ever? Nathan asked Ella. Best day ever, she confirmed. Can we do this every year? The wedding part just once, Tessa laughed. But the being a family part? That's every day forever. They walked to the car together, hand in hand, ready to start their new life as the Pierce family. As Nathan drove them home, Ella asleep in the back seat and Tessa's hand in his, he thought about the journey that had brought them here. The promise made in a hospital room. The years apart. The miracle of finding each other again. The foundation they were building to help others. The family they created from loss and hope and love. Some stories took 20 years to unfold. Some promises took a lifetime to keep. But when you finally arrived at forever, when you found the person who made everything make sense, the wait was worth it. Nathan looked at the silver bracelet on his wrist, catching the light from passing street lamps. Then he looked at his sleeping daughter in the rearview mirror. Finally, he looked at his wife, beautiful in the glow of the dashboard, smiling at him with all the love in the world. This was his happy ending. His second chance. His forever. And he was never ever letting it go.